Sparta, the ancient Greek city-state known for its unparalleled military discipline and warrior culture, once held a position of undeniable power and influence. Its very name evokes images of fierce warriors, disciplined training, and unwavering loyalty to the state. However, despite its legendary reputation, Sparta eventually lost its dominance and fell into decline. The reasons for Sparta's fall are multifaceted, rooted in internal contradictions, external pressures, and an inability to adapt to changing circumstances. To fully understand how Sparta lost its glory, we must delve into the various factors that contributed to its downfall. One of the primary reasons behind Sparta's decline lies in its rigid social structure, which became both a strength and a weakness. The entire Spartan system was built around producing elite warriors through the agoge, a state-sponsored training program that emphasized physical endurance, combat skills, and unwavering obedience. While this system was effective in creating one of the most feared military forces in ancient Greece, it came at a significant cost. Spartan society was divided into three main classes: the Spartiates, who were full citizens and formed the elite warrior class; the Perioikoi, free non-citizens who engaged in trade and craftsmanship; and the Helots, who were essentially state-owned serfs responsible for agricultural labor. The Helots, in particular, vastly outnumbered the Spartiates, and their discontent led to frequent uprisings that required significant military resources to suppress. The constant threat of Helot rebellion created a fragile internal dynamic that hindered Sparta's ability to expand its influence or defend itself from external threats. Rather than focusing solely on external conquests, Sparta was forced to maintain a large portion of its military within its borders to keep the Helots in check. This internal instability became one of the primary reasons for Sparta's eventual decline, as it diverted resources away from maintaining its dominance over other Greek city-states. The demographic decline of the Spartiates also played a crucial role in weakening Sparta's military might. As the requirements for maintaining full citizenship became increasingly stringent, fewer and fewer individuals could afford the communal meals and military equipment necessary to retain their status. This resulted in a shrinking elite class, which directly impacted Sparta's ability to field large armies. By the time of the Battle of Leuctra in 371 BCE, the Spartan army had been drastically reduced in both size and effectiveness. The Thebans, led by Epaminondas, dealt a crushing blow to the Spartans at Leuctra, marking the beginning of the end for their dominance in Greece. The rigid conservatism of Spartan society further contributed to its downfall. Unlike Athens, which embraced intellectual development, commerce, and political reform, Sparta remained staunchly focused on maintaining its military traditions. This isolationist mindset left Sparta vulnerable to the changing political and military landscape of Greece. While other city-states adapted to new strategies, innovations, and technologies, Sparta clung to its age-old ways. The failure to innovate in areas such as governance, economic development, and military tactics left Sparta increasingly isolated and out of touch with the evolving world around it. Sparta's political system, while initially effective in maintaining control over its citizenry, also became a liability over time. The oligarchic nature of Spartan government concentrated power in the hands of a few elite families, stifling opportunities for reform and adaptation. The two-king system, unique to Sparta, often led to internal power struggles, particularly during times of crisis. This lack of unified leadership made it difficult for Sparta to respond effectively to external threats or to implement necessary reforms that could have prolonged its dominance. The external pressures faced by Sparta, particularly after its victory in the Peloponnesian War, also contributed to its decline. While Sparta emerged victorious over Athens, the war had taken a heavy toll on the Spartan economy, population, and resources. In the years that followed, Sparta became embroiled in a series of conflicts with other Greek city-states, as well as with the Persian Empire. Sparta's harsh treatment of its allies and the imposition of oligarchic governments in place of democracies led to widespread resentment among the other city-states. This growing animosity eventually turned many of Sparta's former allies against it, leaving it isolated and vulnerable to attack. Furthermore, the strategic inflexibility of the Spartan military proved to be a major weakness. Sparta's reliance on the traditional hoplite phalanx, while effective in earlier centuries, became obsolete as other Greek city-states developed more advanced and flexible military tactics. Thebans under Epaminondas famously used the oblique phalanx formation at Leuctra, concentrating their forces on the weaker side of the Spartan army. This innovative tactic resulted in a decisive Theban victory, shattering the myth of Spartan invincibility. Sparta's inability to adapt its military strategies in the face of new challenges left it increasingly vulnerable to defeat. Sparta's economic limitations further exacerbated its decline. Unlike Athens, which had a diverse economy supported by trade, commerce, and colonies, Sparta remained primarily agrarian and relied heavily on the labor of the helots. This lack of economic diversification meant that Sparta had fewer resources to draw upon in times of crisis. Additionally, Sparta's isolationist policies limited its participation in the broader Greek trade networks, further weakening its economic base. Without a strong economy, Sparta was unable to sustain the alliances or military campaigns necessary to maintain its dominance. The role of Persia in Sparta's decline should also be noted. During the Peloponnesian War, Sparta had benefited from Persian financial support, which helped them defeat Athens. However, in the years following the war, Sparta's ambitions in Asia Minor brought it into direct conflict with the Persian Empire. Lacking the financial and military resources to challenge Persia effectively, Sparta's attempts to expand its influence in the region were met with failure. The Persian Empire, far wealthier and more powerful than Sparta, posed a significant threat to its stability and further weakened its position in the Greek world. By the time Macedon rose to power under Philip II and Alexander the Great, Sparta's influence had waned considerably. Unlike other Greek city-states, which either aligned with or were conquered by the Macedonians, Sparta attempted to remain independent. However, its diminished military strength and political influence meant that it played only a minor role in the events that followed. When Alexander launched his campaign against Persia, Sparta was no longer a significant player on the international stage. Its once mighty army had been reduced to a mere shadow of its former self, and its rigid political system left it incapable of adapting to the changing world around it. In the centuries that followed, Sparta's once glorious reputation faded into obscurity. While its military prowess and warrior culture remained the subject of admiration among historians and travelers, the city-state itself was no longer relevant in the wider geopolitical landscape. By the time Rome rose to prominence, Sparta was little more than a curiosity, visited by those interested in its legendary past, but no longer a power in its own right. Despite its decline, the legacy of Sparta endures to this day. The image of the disciplined Spartan warrior, willing to sacrifice everything for the state, continues to inspire admiration and fascination. From popular culture representations in films like Star 300 Star to modern military training programs that emphasize endurance and discipline, the spirit of Sparta lives on in various forms. However, the story of Sparta's decline serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of inflexibility, over-reliance on military strength, and failure to adapt to changing circumstances. Sparta's fall from glory was the result of a complex interplay of internal and external factors. Its rigid social structure, shrinking elite class, inability to innovate, and poor geopolitical strategy all contributed to its downfall. While Sparta's military might be unmatched for much of its history, its reliance on a shrinking warrior class and a stagnant economy left it vulnerable to both internal strife and external threats. The defeat at Leuctra marked a turning point in Spartan history, signaling the beginning of its decline and the eventual loss of its dominance. In the end, Sparta's story is one of both greatness and tragedy. Its unmatched discipline, military prowess, and dedication to the state brought it to the pinnacle of power in ancient Greece, but its refusal to adapt and evolve ultimately led to its downfall. Sparta's legacy, however, remains a powerful symbol of the complexities of power, leadership, and the human condition. While it may have lost its glory, the lessons from Sparta's rise and fall continue to resonate with us today. reminding us of the delicate balance between strength and adaptability that is essential for the survival of any society.